Hello, Joe from Joe K Models here. Okay, so last time we did the sub-assemblies of the cockpit, and what I did was I put a piece of tape down, some putty, and I just have the pieces right here. I also have the compass as well as the side door that is going to be put on later, but since that's going to share the interior green color, I'm going to go ahead and paint that now, as well as the seat and the seat belt. And then here's the cradle part here. So I'm going to be putting on some black primer onto these parts ahead of doing the actual painting. So that's what I'm going to get started with now. Alright, so I got all the pieces primed in black now, and I'm going to be starting on the bare metal silver. As you can see, the fuselage has a part that's going to be cockpit green, and it's also going to have a part that's going to be bare metal silver, as well as this piece right here is also going to be bare metal silver. So there's some different ways to do this. I thought about painting everything bare metal silver and then maybe doing a hairspray technique where I could show some chipping. You could also chip it with just a brush technique over the cockpit green, or what I'm thinking I'm going to do is I'm probably just going to dry brush some aluminum color over this cockpit green. So I'm not going to worry about full coverage of the bare metal silver, but I am going to make sure that I get good coverage from here to here. Then I'm going to mask this off and go ahead and paint the rest of this cockpit green, as well as this piece. I'll also be doing the tanks here. I'll paint this all bare metal silver, and then it'll be sky gray on the actual tanks and some detail painting. So that's what I'm going to be doing now. Alright, so now that I have the bare metal silver on there, the next step is going to be masking it so that I can paint this side of it the interior green and leave this part the bare metal silver. So the way that I'm going to approach this is I've laid down some tape ahead of time, and this is Tamiya masking tape for curves, so you can kind of shape it a little bit better than regular tape. And because this side has that tank there, it's a little more awkward than the other side to lay it down, but I was able to get the tape in there like that. This is one of those pieces where, like those tanks, it might be better to possibly leave off and paint separately now that I'm looking back, but that's okay. I'm just going to mask around it. So I have the Tamiya tape for curves, and this doesn't have to be like a super tight seal, because I'm going to be spraying in this direction, towards the left or overhead for the most part. So as long as I'm not spraying this way, it shouldn't have any type of overspray. So I'm not too concerned about it, but I have the tape for curves right here, that white piece, and then I'm just taking some pieces of regular Tamiya tape, and I'm just kind of going around it. So I'm going to put this piece right in here like this. And I'm going to put another piece over this tank, and I might put one more strip over here just to be sure that I'm not going to overspray. I shouldn't have a problem even if it were just that amount. because I'm going to be in pretty close putting in the green, but just wanted to show you how I'm approaching this, and I think this should work out pretty good. So. So another quick tip that I can share as far as thinners go with Tamiya acrylics is that I found that I can use regular isopropyl alcohol to save a little bit of money, and I've just been using this straight out and mixing it. But for the purposes of this video, I'm going to be using the actual Tamiya thinner, and I've opted to use this dropper here. So I will be using just Bart Sharp airbrush. Nothing special about it. It's not expensive by any means. I'm using the regular 0.3 millimeter needle in it, and I'm going to start mixing the paint. So I'm going to get some of this thinner in here, and I like to fill it up just to where I can start to see it in the cup there. Now I've already mixed this cockpit green up inside of the pot. I used to just shake these, but what ends up happening is the paint can get into the seal and it can allow air to get in and it dries up your paint. So I've stopped doing that. So let's get this going. So got the paint mix there, and I'm going to take my paintbrush. I'm going to get a good amount on there. You can pre-mix this if you want. I do have some that I have pre-mixed. So get a good dollop on there. And then I just mix it straight up in here. I'm going to be using pretty low pressure, around 15 psi. I'm just going to test it. You can test it on the parts here that aren't going to be visible. You see, if you get too close, it starts splattering, so you want to be at the right distance. Okay, I think that's about right. Alright, so I've got all my pieces painted and now I want to clean out my airbrush, and I was just going to share with you guys how I do that. So I'm done painting. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to dump out the rest of this paint. So now you can clean it using isopropyl alcohol, or you can use the thinner. Since I'm going to be remaining consistent here, I'm just going to use the Tamiya thinner. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to take some more and I'm just going to put it in the cup here. I'm going to put a pretty good amount. And I'm also going to clean my brush off that I was using to put the paint in at the same time. So here's that brush here. And now I'm just going to kind of swish it in here. Just kind of rub it like that. And I'm going to dump this out in the sink as along with the brush here. I'm going to rinse the brush off in hot water and soap. Okay, and now I've dumped out the thinner and the paint. Now I'm just going to take a cloth and I'm just going to wipe this down like this. And now I'm going to put some more thinner in. That. You can see there's still some paint in there. And I'm going to take off this front nozzle. And you want to be careful here not to poke yourself. I just use my fingers, but again, you could easily poke yourself. You could probably use this rag and pinch it like that, but I like to pinch this so that I can get the thinner moving around in there and just bubbling, so that's gonna like clean it out. So this is basically how I do that. Okay, and now I'm going to dump this out and I'm gonna do this again. Okay, I've gone through this process a few times now and it's starting to look pretty clear. So next I'm just going to start spraying this and seeing if there's any paint that's coming out. Okay, pretty happy with that. I don't see any paint coming out, so the last thing I'm going to do here is I'm just going to check the needle. Make sure that you clean all of this off here. That's basically how I clean it when I'm done. If I were trying to change colors, it would pretty much be the same process. I would clean out the cup, make sure that it was shooting clear, and then I would put in my next paint color like that. So there's a lot of different ways to use an airbrush as far as, you know, how people mix their paints, what different ratios people prefer, also how to clean the airbrush. But I figured I would just show you what my technique was, and maybe that might help somebody out. So this is how I go about it. Okay, and I'm feeling pretty good about where we're at right now. We did a lot of painting with the interior green. On the next vlog, I'm going to be taking the masks off, and we'll start talking about some next steps about moving forward with the cockpit, and keep pressing forward with this Tamiya 148 Spitfire kit, which I am really enjoying so far. So until the next vlog, I'll talk to you soon. This is Joe from Joe K Models.